You said how to charge for meetings and phone calls, especially when one client takes up a lot more time than others. And then further down the line, you do say that, yes, you are charging hourly. So talk to me about where's the sticking point. If you're charging hourly and one client's taking longer than another, then this client gets 3 hours of meetings billed and this client only gets 1. Like where are you stuck on that?
Well, I think mainly the issue is that a phone call or a meeting is not always an hour, or it's not always 2 hours.
Totally.
Sometimes it's somewhere in the middle. So
Totally.
I found that sometimes I round down and sometimes I round up depending on what it is. And that way it sort of evens itself out eventually.
Yeah.
But I think, I don't know, I have one client and he hasn't paid me yet. It's been probably about a month now. And in my mind, it was because he didn't realize he was being charged for all these phone calls, because he calls me all the time. He calls me like dropping off my son at school at like 8:30 and he's calling me. And he's calling me at like 7 o'clock at night, and so I'm charging him for it.
Yeah, because time is time.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's time away from other clients.
Yeah.
And in my mind, he wasn't expecting as high an invoice because he didn't realize he was being charged for all of that.
Okay.
But it's very possible it has nothing to do with that.
Yeah, so first of all, it could be in your mind.
Yeah.
Second of all, it could be a reality, right?
Yeah.
So I think that okay, when it comes to freelancing, communication is like the number one thing that can make or break the relationship, the project, anything, right? Yep. And I think it can sound a little abrasive up front to be like, meetings and phone calls are charged hourly. I mean, maybe this isn't something I've ever toyed with. So I think each freelancer maybe has to do a gut check on their own. And maybe it's something like just an asterisk at the bottom of the proposal. Since we're working hourly, I want to be mindful and transparent to you that meetings and phone calls are also a line item on the hourly rate. Mm-hmm. Right? I think actually that verbiage, now that I just said it out loud, feels okay.
Okay.
I would just put, like I said, something in there and be like, to be totally transparent and communicative with you. Yep. That's the disclaimer I would start with.
Yep.
I want to be upfront that since this is hourly, meetings and phone calls are charged as such.
Right.
So that could just like blanket address the situation at the beginning.
Yeah.
Because what you said, like, okay, we wound up having a lot of phone calls, and in his head, I highly doubt he was like, I'm trying to take advantage of Sarah. But he probably just wasn't realizing it. And so then what happened was he maybe, and again, we're assuming here, but he maybe felt a little blindsided by the invoice when he's like, oh my gosh, there was 4 hours of phone calls. Or I don't know what the number was, right?
Yeah.
So, you could put it in the initial proposal. And then beyond that, as you're having these phone calls, like as it's like one phone call, then another, and you start to feel, okay, this client calls a lot. Had you maybe not put it in the proposal, or even if you had, I would still maybe just intervene and say, I love hopping on these calls and gabbing with you, and I'm super happy to talk through these problems and help consult you on all this. I just know that like clients hate getting a surprise bill at the end of the month. And so I just want to throw out a friendly reminder that, time is time. And since we are doing hourly, give you the reminder that, I do have to account for the time we have on the phone calls. Again, I'm happy to have the calls, but just so that you're not blindsided by this line item on the invoice. And they're going to really appreciate that. Okay. Right?
Yeah. That's good because I have to send him a follow-up email anyway to say, FYI, please pay your invoice.
You need to pay me. Yeah.
So maybe I can include some of that as well.
You can.
In it.
And maybe
as long as I'm, soft about it.
Broach the conversation right now. Like if you're feeling like, here's the other thing I've learned about freelancing. Beyond communication, although this actually is just a part of communication, if you are internally feeling something in your gut, then maybe that is the case. And I find it often best to just kind of put it on the table. Like, hey, I'm getting the feeling, and right, it's all about how you present it verbally or in writing. I could be making an assumption here, but I've got this gut feeling, and so I just want to put it on the table because I really believe in having transparent and open relationship with my clients, that perhaps you were a little blindsided by the phone calls. And maybe depending, and this is a gut check you have to take based on how great he is as a client in general, what was your hourly rate? Maybe you're like, if this has anything to do with the phone calls and meetings, I'm sorry, I should have been transparent about that up front. And so if you've been blindsided by this, I'm really sorry. And I'd love to alleviate that by taking 25% off the phone call rate for this time or something. And then going forward, now that this is the rate. And he just probably didn't even think, right? But time is time. And at the end of the day, people do understand that. They get that. He's a business too. He gets it.
Yeah.
He just didn't think about it. And maybe it's not an issue.
Yeah.
But
yeah, because I have spoken to him since, and just because all of a sudden I hadn't heard from him and there wasn't really any work.
Yeah.
And I just said, I just wanted to check in. We haven't spoken in a while. And he said, there's just a lot of other things going on in the background. I actually don't need your help at the moment, but stick around, you'll hear from me soon.
Yeah.
So, okay, this is good. This is all very good.
That feel good?
Definitely work with that. Yeah.
Okay.